What's up, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Playing Gley. Today's video we're going to be covering Thundercage versus Python. We're going to be looking at the Massacre build, as well as looking at some options that we're playing around with, so that way you're able to capitalize on being low HP as well as high HP and get times just like these. So we ran Iron Defense inside of every clip and every video that's inside of this, other than the Obstructor, because I wanted to show you what the difference is between running Shield Conversion and Iron Defense. It is a squishier setup than our Infinite Launcher setup, but all of the rest of the fights are towards the end of the video, and we got timestamps so you can jump around and watch whatever gameplay you want to watch. So in this build, we are using Massive Singulification instead of Blood and Iron. Now, when you look at Massive Singulification at first, it looks like it's not really that great, but what it does, it allows you to go ahead and press your C without needing orbs, and you press Q, press C, get your 3 good old resources, which allows you to go straight into Massacre, and of course you do your good old looping with infinite ammo. Something else that you can do when you end up dropping your Frenzy is you can press C, and you can heal, which scales off of how many targets that you ended up hitting. And this is also great inside the Colossus fights, because those objects that you see around those arenas, when you press C, they also count as targets, so you're able to heal off of those as well. So over the course of the week, it has been a great debate between using the Python or the Thundercage for the Massacre Gley build and which one is better. So we utilized a Python, and we actually used this one, which was a bit worse than the one that we're rocking right now. We ended up using these mods. And then for our Thundercage, we have this one right here, while we have these mods. So this Thundercage is pretty stacked. We were going into a fight where it should be more ideal since it has so much chill enhancement in order to try and beat the time. But we'll see the results. So let's go ahead and remove 1 second from the Thundercage run to bring that down to 29, because your boy missed a little bit of a grapple. So with that, the Python is slightly ahead. So from my tests of running other bosses, from videos that I've seen, from tests from the good old friends, and tests from people inside of the Discord, the Python is slightly better than the Thundercage when it comes to the Massacre Gley build. Now, we have done some testing, and it seems that there is some crit resistance on some of these different bosses, which is definitely going to affect the Thundercage. But something else to keep in mind, there are characters that end up boosting your crit rate, and Thundercage definitely benefits more from that. Alright, so if you have a good Python reactor or a really good Thundercage reactor, just pick one and go. The difference is not that big, and your boy has a little bit of both. I think my Thundercage reactor is actually better. It has duration on it. This one's slightly better. And of course, the game is also buggy, so this all could change next week. This is what we would have for early game. Of course, this is the combination of rifling reinforcement, action and reaction, as well as fire rate up, and then whatever the enemy is weak to. This was at 6 to get us to a nice 50, but we have done a little bit of upgrading. Late game, we're looking like this, and you want to go ahead and swap out for whatever the enemy is weak to. And we're rocking Sharp Precision Shot. With added duration, Sharp Precision Shot I found to be a little bit better than Mental Focus, and you're able to take advantage of pockets in a slightly different way. It just makes the build feel a little bit more fluid rather than shooting up in the sky and shooting down a bunch of birds. We wanted this build to be a little bit more environmentally friendly. Well, ultimately, you can pick which one you like more. If you like Mental Focus more than Precision Shot, go with that. I found the DPS to be around the same, while in certain pockets, I found that Precision did work out a little bit better. like that 8-second devour. There's also an opportunity to drop the electric priority and then actually go with the double crit mods between better concentration and concentration priority. Just try to RNG big numbers with the element as well as the gun itself. This is probably going to work out better in team play when you have some higher crit rate than just the base 5, but that is also an idea they can play around with. And for your mods for the Python, this is what you're looking for. Of course, you want these to be gold, and then crit damage can be okay, but this is pretty ideal. And then we have the good old Vestigial Organ, Old Faithful. Instead of recoil, weak point damage is going to be better. And then we're rocking this. Same thing as the old video that we ended up putting up. You can swap this for something like Defense Master if you want to. And you can even go with the priority. I do not have fire priority, which is why I staggered a little bit there. Do I still not have it? Oh, I got it now. Nice. Okay. Not priority. That's not the one I wanted. I wanted like conductor. So we still don't have it. But what you end up doing is something like this. If you feel like you're not hitting your weak point shots. So for the Frostwalker as well as the Swamp Walker, I found that the Organ felt way better to use rather than just spamming Massacre. And then our Thunder Cage, the early game would be the exact same thing as most of the Glaze guns of the action and reaction, fire rate up, and rifle reinforcement, and then whatever the enemy is weak to. And then we have this thing super duper decked out for the test to try to put it a bit ahead, honestly, because the Python has been better. And that I was going into the test with the idea that the Python was going to do better, and I tried to get the Thunder Cage to outperform, and it did not. In reality, this would not have a socket on it. Well, in reality, this would not have a... Oh, it is a socket. In reality, this would not have a polarity on it, so that way we're able to swap the enhancement. And then this would probably end up focus fire instead. So for our reactor, we have the additional skill attack, which is going to be big. Any boosts using like non-attribute as well as dimension are going to be good as well. So you can see those skill power boost ratios on this bottom piece. Skill duration is going to be good when you are running the sharp precision shot. Skill cooldown, also good. Skill effect range is not bad actually, because the more targets that you end up hitting with your AoE, the more that you'll be able to heal. So it's not a terrible stat, but it is not my recommended. The ideal one that I would run for this variation would be the additional skill attack plus duration or cooldown. Or I just go fully into damage. So we are rocking the Slayer set. This is something that you need good substats in order to play. So max HP, ideally gold, and then defense with a substat for here. Unfortunately, these do come with max shield, but the consumable drop rate increase is fantastic, as well as the HP recovery. Once again, defense. And then here you'll grab some type of resistance, and then the added HP is pretty solid. The overall set gives you more skill power, which is going to increase your overall damage and make you do some good old numbers. Another set that you can run is Annihilation, which is a fantastic set, and you don't necessarily need great substats because the main stat for these pieces of gear is better. So if you wanted to play around with that option, you can. The reality is you have to be at 50% HP in order to get the benefit of this set, and so you end up less tanky, ironically, because we don't necessarily need to be at 50% HP to still do good damage. While our optimal output is sub 50, we're still able to do good damage without being at that 50%, which might feel a little bit more comfortable for some people. It did feel better for me. A quick note about the Python and any unique gun in general when it comes to Massacre. When we do end up activating it, we do not get that bonus unique effect. So you can look at the good old gun and see that we get the Python Instinct. The Prey effect, we don't get that at all when we are utilizing Massacre. So that's something to keep in mind when you are playing around with these builds. You do not get the added benefit. But you could, if you wanted to, use this outside of Massacre and just debuff the boss a lot and, you know, be a little bit supportish. So it is a fantastic gun. So here's what we have for our modules. Massive Sanctification over Blood and Iron. Feel like this is our best mod in general. Also the game's lagging, we love that. MP Conversion for that skill duration. Maximize duration. So for the sharp precision shot, I found that this works out a bit better. If you are rocking Mental Focus, then you want to swap this out for Outstanding Investment. Both of these are very good, and this allows you to get a little bit of extra healing. But I found this to work out a bit better, particularly for sharp precision shot. Nimble Fingers, of course, focus on non-attribute, increase HP, focus on dimension, battle stamina, gives a little bit of duration and some HP. Iron Defense for the skill power modifier as well as some defense. Skill extension, and this is the big thing right here that is different from a lot of the stuff that I was seeing. So Dangerous Ambush is typically replaced by Walk a Tightrope. We can see that this conditional is being at 50% or lower in order to get the skill power modifier as well as the firearm attack plus 30. So this is just giving us raw skill power. When we are playing inside our groups, we're getting that 25%. And then when the enemy is immobilized, or in this case knocked down, we're getting a 50% damage increase. So there is a pocket where we're getting about 75% damage increase from the skill power. And I like this a bit more because it's a bit more fluid, because there's going to be instances where we're not going to be at 50% or lower HP, because it's not really that comfortable of a spot to be. And so we get that added damage and we're a little bit more consistent overall, while we're still able to do a lot when we are at that lower than 50% HP, which we'll be able to see in the gameplay. Mind you, it was 5 a.m. when I recorded these. The gameplay might not be great because your boy might be a little bit of a trash can. And everything was recorded with Iron Defense other than the Obstructor, so that way you guys have a point of reference to the tankiness. So in an ideal world, if you aren't feeling comfortable with Iron Defense, slap on the Shield Conversion. If for some reason you don't want Battle of Stamina and you want that little bit of extra HP, I would then throw on Stim Accelerant. And then at that point, I'd probably swap out this as well for Outstanding and then just run Mental Focus rather than SRS. So this is what I ran in the video. If you want a little bit more bulk, you can run this right here. And if you want to run around with Mental Focus, because you're not comfortable with how much HP you have, then I'd run around with something like this. And this will put you at 30,000 defense, about 70,000 HP, which is a bit more comfortable for sure. But yeah, you have some options that you can mess around with. The last thing is Multi-Talented. Multi-Talented, you can actually slot in along with all your cooldown, and when you are spamming your good old Massive Sanctification, you can just chain spam this as long as it hits a target. So this is very good for mobbing, and this in tandem with skill range will allow you to mob at a pretty good pace. But that is it for your boy. The rest of this are just going to be, I don't know why I said R. The rest of this is going to be this video gameplay, so you can see what's going on, see how the build feels, see what the damage is looking like. And if you have any questions about anything, please let me know in the comments below. We have a Discord where we have some cool things cooking up as well. That's it for me. Hope you have a fantastic day / night. Talk to you later.
mission of the French